You're absolutely right, which is if it is a box, then it isn't organic in any way, shape, or form, then it was built. And if it was built, well, then that changes things, doesn't it? Because if it was built, that means that, which is why at least half of our community, I'm at least 50%, are hardcore Christians. Because if it was built, well, then it was built by somebody. And at that point, religion does come into play. Because, again, either it's an advanced civilization that's older and powerful, or it's the divine. And at that point, you're really just splitting hairs because one man's advanced tech is another man's deity. So, yeah. At that point, which is, I talked about this in the clues, because it was kind of a spiritual journey, which is, if this place was built and it's possible that somebody is actually looking over your shoulder, do you still do the things you're doing now? And if you think that's a stretch, it's like, well, okay, well, we've all seen the cameras at stoplights, right, at intersections. And it's like, everyone's run a red light, but you won't run a red light when there's a camera there. Why? Well, because there's a camera there. I might get caught. Why are you thinking about it in the first place? Right? And that's really what we're talking about here. I mean, it may sound kind of cheesy, but I won't do anything malicious to anybody ever again, because I've got a really, really strong feeling now, way stronger than I used to. And I was raised born-again Christian. I mean, I fell away from the church for years, but now it's like, oh no, if this place was built, that means we're under the microscope. Now, what are exactly the rules? Well, it depends on what your faith is. But yeah, it was built.
Well, how about aliens visiting the planet and abducting people and people disappearing and all that stuff?
Oh no, I think it's real. I don't think there's any conflict there at all. As a matter of fact, that was one of the first questions that people came at me with was, do you still believe in aliens? I go, well, I do, but I don't think they're from Mars and Jupiter and Venus and places like that where we immediately assume they're from. I think they're just older versions of ourselves. I think they're previous civilizations that are not allowed to engage directly. The old question, which is, why haven't aliens landed in Main Street, USA, come out, taken a few selfies and signed some autographs, and because they would have influenced too many things. And we saw what happened with Roswell. I mean, the media started, ramping up like a turbine engine, and it was going to get ugly in a hurry. So, but I think there's rules. I think there's things out there with ships. Yeah, you bet. You want to have some fun, buy some night vision binoculars, generation 1. You don't have to get 2 or 3, and start looking at the sky and tell me what you see. I mean, the sky's crawling with things, and I think they're just old versions of us. I think they're the upperclassmen that aren't allowed to do anything. Yeah, of course, you can pick off a few people in a boat or a forest or a mountain, stuff like that. I mean, the abductions are always in remote places. Nobody's getting grabbed off of Main Street. But I think they're out there. Sure, why not? And what they look like, what do previous civilizations look like? And the sky's the limit there.
Yeah, unless we're a computer civilization, and we're nothing more than a program running on computer chips.
Yeah. I mean, when you get to it, I mean, it's something. It's funny because it's something we've been striving for years in the entertainment industry. I mean, that's all we care about at the highest level of this entertainment is creating that very thing. In fact, it was funny. Do you remember the comic strip Dilbert?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the creator of Dilbert, smart guy, he wrote the foreword to this book, and I read it, and I thought it was really interesting. He goes, the last invention we'll ever make will be the holodeck. And, of course, the only thing he had to go off was, the Star Trek Next Generation holodeck, basically a holographic simulation. Because he said once that's built, no one's going to care about anything else. All they're going to care about is the bare minimum they need to do so they can spend the most time they can in the holodeck. And that's what we're talking about here. If we can envision it, if we can envision a virtual reality, then it's probably already happened. And we're probably already in it. That's the catch. Which is also, by the way, why I don't think we'll be allowed to fully build it ourselves, because once we build it, then the world that we're in becomes completely irrelevant. And I don't think that's how it works. I think it's a catch there where we won't be able to close that loop. But yeah, I have little doubt that we're in it. I mean, seriously, look at anyone's out there. Look up the double slit experiment, and email me, and I'll tell you exactly what it means. I mean, it's something we. How many minutes do we have left? We're coming down on this, right?
Yeah, we got a few. But I wanted to say something. We actually have, with holograms, come a long ways in the in the entertainment industry. They have, putting on shows now with Elvis Presley and a few other famous, singers that are no longer with us. And it looks like they're actually on stage. The people in the audience, they're looking at it and they actually see the person there. I mean, technology is getting to the point, it's scary.
The goal that they want to do isn't exactly the holographic technology. What they want to do is figure out the frequency for the human brain, like a radio frequency or television frequency. That's what they really want to do, and they want to do it without creating some sort of health risk. Because, everything that we sense, it's all electrochemical, and, it's basically electricity. And they've been trying to crack that code for a number of years. If they ever do it, it's going to be some ethical issues involved. But it's a brave new world that's coming, and I believe that 2020's got a lot of potential written on it. I believe in literal things, and I think 2020, that whole 2020 vision, 2020 hindsight, I think it's going to potentially be a real benchmark year for a lot of different things. I just got a weird spidey sense about it.
So what do you think our future as humans are, either on this round planet or in a box? What do you think's going to happen?
I think eventually we're going to have a revelation that, some other civilization is going to get involved here, whether it be one of the older ones. I know it sounds like science fiction, but at the same time, come on, we've been writing science fiction now for so long that any age group has a reference to it. And a lot of weird stuff has been happening. So I think it's going to be a revelation. I think that our civilization has now reached a tipping point where it's this big crossroads, which is potentially a new golden age, or the other side, which could be apocalyptic in nature. I hope it's not apocalyptic. I'd love to see a happy ending to this story, because that's what I think we're in. I think we're in a giant story, a giant book. And Act 3 is upon us right now. All great stories, 3 acts. First act, establish the characters. Second act, give them a challenge. Third act, resolve it one way or the other.
Well, maybe the guy who originally wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was right. Maybe our planet was in the way for the superhighway. So they took all the living beings on our planet and put them into a box, and then hit the button and Earth was gone.
Yeah, maybe. I loved, I even loved the remake. I watched the television series when I was younger, and the movie I thought they did a nice job with it. But yeah. I mean, think of it this way. Let me end it with this. We've written so much science fiction over the years. We've written so much fantasy and science fiction. We've covered basically every conceptual reality option that you can think of. We've got movie references for just about everything. I treat them just like lottery tickets. Isn't it likely that one of those was going to be right, since we covered all of them? One of these was going to happen, whether it be some weird alien race showing up or some sort of plague or some sort, bad or good. We've already thought about it. We've already come up with the options. It's just a question of which one is going to be chosen.
Yeah. Well, maybe the plague is starting to hit now. Might be the end of the act.
Nah. That thing, the coronavirus, nah. If that thing was as bad as they said, look, if you want to have any doubts, watch the movie, which I just watched again recently, Contagion, which is, if things get really, really bad, because they start interrupting programming for that sort of stuff. You'll actually get the emergency broadcast system start kicking in. And they're not even remotely close. I mean, all the airports are open. If things get really, really bad, I mean, look at just reference the movie, the old Stephen King book, The Stand, about a military virus that got out. And I mean, You'd know. There's no sense of urgency out there. I do a lot of traveling. It's just not there.
Okay, well, I hope you are right, because the Center of Disease announced the other day that they now are going to put it as a major thing now. I don't know.
I just not seen it yet. I mean, if it's going to spread, it's going to spread very, very quickly, and we just haven't seen the cases. Here's the difference. I know we're running out of time. Is social media is so integrated now that people would be talking about it. And that was the thing with Contagion, and that was people were sending each other messages so fast, like, oh, yeah, this guy just dropped flat. Oh, hey, I have family members here. I've seen no chatter. The old military saying, I've heard no chatter about this at all, with the exception of what's on CNN. I think it's just another scare tactic that the news is putting out there. It's like, oh, it's a scary world. You need us. It's like, all right, I see what you're doing.
Well, it keeps our mind off of Washington, D.C.
Well, yeah, but now, not to get into politics, but the impeachment's over. Go figure. So now what's going to happen? I mean, it's February. It's the beginning of February. What are we going to do for the next 10 months?
It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Well, again, where can they find your books, Mark?
Oh, yeah. So the book's on Amazon. You can look. All you have to do is type in Flat Earth Clues on Amazon. You'll find it. The first book was called Flat Earth Clues, The Sky's the Limit. The second one was called Flat Earth Clues, End of the World, because National Geographic thought that Flat Earth could bring about the new Dark Ages. And there's an audio version, there's a Kindle version, and an audio version. If you like just listening to it, you can get the audio version on Audibles. Easy to find.
Interesting. And do you have a Facebook page where people can find you?
I don't. I'm one of those guys that, social media, I'm only going to go so far because you can get stretched really, really thin. The only social media stuff that I really do is on YouTube. And my YouTube channel is literally called Mark Sargent. And again, you can just type in Flat Earth Mark and you'll find it. Any other social media that's out there that may have my name on it isn't run by me, but that's okay. I mean, as long as you listen to the clues, I don't care whose channel it's on. I mean, I've had people mirror my stuff everywhere. I've never thrown a copyright strike. Just have at it. I think the truth should be free for the most part.
Interesting. So where do you think the near future is going to go with the Flat Earth movement?
Wow. Every time I try to make a prediction in Flat Earth, I get blown away by underestimating it. I mean, last year I didn't think that we would do nearly the national things that we did, or international. I didn't think we were going to have conferences in as many countries as we did, and I didn't think I'd do a commercial. So, considering we got that mention in the Super Bowl last week, I don't. I think it's just going to grow by leaps and bounds. What I'm hoping this year is that a reality television show finally happens, where we get a lot more high profile and some big celebrities, other than the ones we've already seen, talk about it more. But other than that, I don't know what other predictions I can make, because I was kind of blindsided in 2019. So all I can tell you is, look, it's not going away. Everybody's been telling me since 2015. It's like, 15 minutes of fame. I was going, really? Because it's 5 years now, and I just keep getting busier. So whenever you think it's going to end, let me know.
Oh yeah. I'd love to hear it. Well, sir, I just want to thank you for coming on Night Dreams Talk Radio.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Anytime you need me, just call me up.
I will. And if you get any good news or anything you want to share, you know how to get a hold of me. For the email, get a hold of me.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, my friend. Have a great week.
All right. You too.
Okay, Mark. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was an interesting conversation. Is the Earth flat? Is it round? Are we in a box? Are we on a computer civilization? What do you think, James?
I got to tell you, as far as my research and data as of this moment, it's showing that it's round. I know there's lunar eclipse. We didn't get it. I'd like to hear him explain that one. But anyway, I keep an open mind. Who's to say? Eventually, the data may sway me over.
Well, we will find out. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio.
The jacket and ran down Citizens for Laughs. He had an old lady named Petula who packed an automatic 45 gun. They had just come up from California where they'd shot